Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Go whatever you got. Go ahead and play that because I definitely want to hear if you have any type of breakdown of how the international law, huh? Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. You do it. They got it.
Yeah,
Go
this
ahead.
is Dr. Hood. This is your boy Dr. Hood. We back with another exclusive DRH19D, DRH19D. I'm with my DLG brother. Go ahead and check us out at the DLG channel, DLG Podcast, DLG Podcast. You see the screen. I got my artwork on today. I got Brittney Griner. She got the halo of weed, you know what I'm saying, weed around her head. You know what I'm saying? I guess she got broke off for the 9 years, y'all. This is not going to be easy. It's going to put a lot of strain on the YouTube community and everybody broadcasting. And, I'm pretty sure that this is going to be a hot topic that we're going to be wanting to get into. I don't know exactly what Brittney Griner was looking at in this picture. It looks like, she saw a ghost or something. You know what I'm saying? But, I'm not here to clown her. I'm here to bring you guys the news. Of course, I got my opinions. I'm not going to be up here and not have an opinion at all. That's no fun.
Right.
Um, so, yeah. So, I guess we could just start digging in, you
Yeah, man.
know.
I'm pressing mute, bro.
So I have a clip, and I usually just get the random clip in the last few times that I've been just grabbing my little random clip because I don't want to just pinpoint something that I really liked, or I'm not really into the, some people, they talk about the liberal and the opinions, and I don't really care about that. I just want the news. Let me decipher it for myself. You guys, please hit the like and subscribe button. Please hit the like and subscribe button when you come on in. Please hit the like and subscribe button when you come on in. You dig? So here we go. Here we go. Let me get this up here. Let me get this up here because this is a situation where we have a woman from the United States detained. She's been detained, I would say 4 months, 4 or 5 months or something, you know. And it's not looking good, y'all. It's not looking good. People are upset about it. They got their opinions about it. I got my opinion about it and what I think. There's been some remarks made by Brittney Griner's coach. We covered that a while back. And she was saying, like, if it was LeBron James and this, that, and the third. That's the first time I said this, that, and the third. That's cool. so I mean, and my thing is, LeBron James would have conducted itself better. That's just from my opinion. It's my opinion, right? And I just think a guy the magnitude of LeBron, will probably conduct himself in a manner to where he's not trying to smuggle marijuana cartridges. Okay. Marijuana cartridges. Y'all, this is what we're talking about. Today we woke up, everybody, you had a good night's sleep, whether if you slept alone or you slept next to baby girl or whatever, or you slept next to your man. We're here talking about a marijuana cartridge in 9 years. 9 years. Okay. Uh do I think Brittney Griner was wrong? I honestly think that it was her girlfriend. I think it was her girlfriend's cartridge. That's just what I think. So I don't think I had to say allegedly on that one. But I think it was the girlfriend's cartridge in this situation. They took a blood test, marijuana. They checked her, a drug test, to see if she had any drugs or whatever in her system. And the results came back negative. That leads me to believe. And then, she's an athlete and stuff, so it can metabolize in her body a lot faster. So maybe it could have been hers. Could have been hers. My thing is, if she's not, let me get into it, because they're gonna get into me.
Case.
Now that the trial is over, attention will likely shift to a proposed swap made by the Biden administration in exchange for Brittney Griner and former Marine Paul Whelan, which we've heard a lot about. Notorious arms dealer Victor Bout could be freed from an American prison. Where does that proposal stand now?
I think the proposal is being negotiated between the United States and Russia. The United States has expressed its intention of trying to deal with this prisoner swap, but the leverage right now is with the Russian Federation, because they haven't agreed to the swap, and they haven't agreed to the terms of the swap. So until the Russians agree to exchange Brittney Griner for Victor Bout or somebody else, the Russians will have leverage into how fast this process goes.
We want to play some of Brittney Griner's own words in these closing arguments to hear what she had to say in pleading guilty and asking for leniency.
I understand everything that's being said against me, the charges that are against me, and that is why I pled guilty. But I had no intent to break any Russian laws. I want to apologize to my teammates, my club, Gemka, the fans, and the city of people.
Let me pause it just for a second. Everything is fair use. I don't need no smoke with CBS News and all of that. Everything's fair use. It's for educational purposes only. Of course, we got to give you guys the meat and potatoes. So let's go.
Cat, my mistake that I made and the embarrassment that I brought onto them. I know everybody keeps talking about political pawn and politics, but I hope that is far from this courtroom.
Washington State residents.
Okay. So they talking about political pawn, and I don't even know how much of that you heard, Def Chef.
Yeah, my phone. I went into this build. I just opened up a kitchen in the hood over here, and I had to take my son up in there to get set up.
Man. Congratulations,
man. Thank you, bro. You already know.
You got the family. You got the family down there working.
Oh yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
See, that's a double. That's a double. Congratulations, man. You know what I'm saying? Where you could get some business started in your neighborhood and empower people around you, family at that. Oh man.
It's an amazing thing. I wanted to really get it popping first before I did a bunch of talking. But bro, we opened up 2 days ago, bro. This is day number 3, bro.
I love it.
Yeah.
Salute my brother Kendrick Kennels. Solid brother right there. Salute to you, man. I hope everything that you want in life is coming to you in abundance, baby. Let's get it. Let's go. Okay, so before they interrupted me, I guess I gotta pay for that little YouTube subscription so I don't get those things. I'm a cheap dude, man. I might got a pocket full of money, man. Yeah, we here. Let me hold on. Let me get this back in action. She's blaming. I mean, she's explaining herself, man. I guess I give her that. But let me go back a little bit for y'all.
Being said against me, the charges that are against me, and that is why I pled guilty. But I had no intent to to break any Russian laws. I want to apologize to my teammates.
So what happened then? You had no intent on breaking Russian laws. I'm lost. I'm lost right now because she is the one being accused of smuggling something that's just minor. But we got to understand that marijuana is not legal in certain states in America. So let alone outside of America on an international level, global level, continental level, whatever you want to categorize it. You know, so either she didn't know it was in there or this is cap, Brittney. And I know people probably thought I was going to get up here caping. And that's cool too. That's cool too. If you guys thought I was going to get up here caping for Brittney Griner. And I'm not. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to go through her, you know, whatever she's got to say, and we're going to flip through it and give her the benefit of the doubt. But, you know, if you had no intent on breaking the law, right. She knew better. So I ain't gonna, you know, I know y'all want to hear her. So let me get back to it.
My club, Gemka, the fans, and the city of DCAT. My mistake that I made and the embarrassment that I brought onto them. I know everybody keeps talking about political pawn and
see, she's trying to put this political pawn thing out here. She, you know, you're reading into too much politics and you're not putting enough accountability into what you did. Like, yeah, we all heard the music in the room talking about political pawn, political this, and, you know, this and that. But I think she made it an effort to try to get that out there. And that might have been her last little cry for help. But, you know, I don't really see any accountability right here. Like, you knew you're a grown woman. You knew this. And if you're your girlfriend that got you in this situation, and I don't even think homosexuality is even legal in
Russia, they don't fuck around with a bunch of shit.
You know, I don't think they just out there free balling, you know, like people do in America.
Nah.
You know.
No, they ain't having it there.
That is far from this courtroom.
So, William, she made this emotional plea asking for leniency. Is that likely going to resonate with the Russian courtroom there?
Well, she might get a slightly lesser sentence. I think that the sentence would require almost 10 years in prison. I anticipate a slightly lesser sentence, but nevertheless a severe sentence as well. So I can't anticipate what the actual length of the sentence will be.
Well, it's obviously this guy didn't know anything, right? You know.
Yep.
Because he was right about the slightly lesser, and that was 1 year less. So
yeah, 10%. She got 10% off.
Well, in America, you know, I've been on the bad side of the road, and the kind of the way it works here is if you do something that and it's a 10-year type of sentence, if it's not like harming people or something like that, you would usually get the lower end of the grid if, you know, found guilty and, you know, whatever you would get if you haven't been in any trouble. Like, I don't think Brittney has any type of criminal history, or she might not be in the WNBA. She might not be able to travel freely to different countries and perform and compete. You know, she's been in the Olympics. You know, she's done all of this stuff. So for her to get the 9 years out of 10 years,
what happened?
that would be somebody, you know, that I would think that, you know, did something more severe than what she did. Salute my brother Joseph Townsend. Salute. Now we in the building. We in the building. Def Chef having a little difficulties with his mic. It's all good. We just gonna keep rolling. We ain't gonna worry
Yeah,
about that.
I'm here. I'm here. I tap back in.
But since she's been found guilty, since she pled guilty, I anticipate a significant sentence and significant time, unfortunately, for Brittney Griner.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting point. I think some of our viewers.
So why did she plead guilty?
Man, bro, I mean, I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm getting more and more confused the more you're educating me. And maybe this is me thinking as an American black man, right? What the fuck? Like, if I'm going to get what I was going to get, what am I pleading to? Like, why would I just admit guilt and there's nothing in it for me? The whole thing of admitting guilt is there's supposed to be some sort of leniency or some sort of reciprocity, meaning you plead guilty, instead of going for 10, we'll throw you 4, or we'll throw you 6, and then the third year we'll get the ball rolling to get you out before year 4. You know how it go, right? With this, it's all like, well, you had a dime, you gonna get 9. The prosecutor suggested 9.5. I'm all like, nigga, so you might as well have fought the shit. I mean, maybe, you know, I don't know how much it cost or nothing. I don't know nothing, bro. I just know 9 years. I just know it's hard for me to wrap my head around the 9 years, bro.
She pled to who advised her? That's my thing.
I don't know, bro.
And I hear they were saying, like, you know, with the swap, the prisoner swap, that they needed the conviction or whatever. They needed the case to basically be over with, sentenced. They needed her to be sentenced before they could start that negotiation process. And I think that they're going to be able to do some swap, and I don't think she's gonna.
Man, I'm gonna
get
keep
over
it
there
so real with you,
that
Dr.
long.
Hood. I'm not trading a basketball player for an arms dealer, my nigga. Won't happen,
Joseph
bro.
Townsend. Joseph Townsend.
And you know what? As a black man, people could say what they want. You could try to paint me in any light, any picture you fucking want to. What are we talking about now? When we talking about politics, just like I just said earlier, there's an evenness, there's a reciprocity to the politics. You don't trade a professional athlete for a real deal, like war style criminal, bro. That's what arms dealers are, dog.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing is that if the United States goes for that, all I could do is shake my head, because one thing about another country, they're not going. Let them have an American arms dealer who they feel is responsible for X, Y, and Z in that country. And then we got a hockey player over here. Nigga, it could be the most well-known hockey player from Russia or the best track athlete from Ukraine, wherever the fuck. They gonna be like, well, we gonna try to work something out, but we're not letting go of Jermaine. He's a war criminal, and it's gonna be that simple. So that's all I can say. Like, I hope they work something out. But if the deal is give us this dude, and I get it, he been locked up for half my life, right over there. Man, bro, look, that ain't, nah, we can't do that. We can't do that. And if they do that, I don't know, bro, that's gonna look bad to me. But they could do what they want. It's politics. I ain't a politician, so.
Oh, I was muted for a second. Yeah, man. You know, I think they were telling her. Oh yeah, Joseph Townsend said, pleading guilty in America ain't like pleading guilty. I mean, pleading guilty in another country ain't like pleading guilty in America.
Man, bring him on the panel, man, because I want to hear. Hey, man, hey, bro, hit the link, bro, because I need to hear you talk. I'm trying to learn. You're pointing out some key shit that a nigga ain't even thinking about, because you right. Pleading guilty in America and pleading guilty in a Eastern Bloc country or a European country with Eastern Bloc politics is way different. And he sounds like he knows more than I know. So I want this man to come up on here and chop it and pop it, because this is really one of them shows where I should be listening more than I'm talking.
Man,
Straight
you
up.
women, because I wouldn't feel sorry if this was a man. I ain't gonna lie. but you women,
That must have been a comment for me.
you damn women better stop transporting cartridges and shit, man. Because I know there's a lot of women.
Facts,
You guys are doing this. You guys are doing this. You guys are putting it in your makeup bag, and you guys are doing this. And rather if you're in America or whatever you're in, I wouldn't want your eyes to be looking big and Dr. Hood to be covering your ass, because she pled guilty. So basically that gave them the leverage to do whatever the hell they want to do with her. And I know she wanted to expedite the process so that they could start the negotiations with the prisoner swap. And then she's putting all this political pawn and, putting all this verbiage. That's not showing no type of accountability. You think that you're you think that you're gonna get some type of favor by doing that, and you think it's a game. You thought that it was a game, or maybe you didn't think you would get any time. I mean, you definitely get kicked out of the WNBA. So what happens after she comes back? After they trade a whole murderer?
Whoa. No. Kicked out the WNBA, bro?
I'm just saying.
Damn,
what's going on here?
This is getting bad.
We've seen plenty. We've seen plenty of guys get kicked out of the NFL for smoking weed. Look at what's his name? Josh. What's his name?
Right. Who played for the Seahawks?
I forgot his damn name.
I forgot his name too, but I know you're talking about the receiver.
Yeah, he's dope.
He used to play for Cleveland. Yeah.
You guys hit that like button, because this shit is ridiculous, man. I just don't know. And maybe at the end of this stream, I'll say, I really feel sorry for her. But right now, it's kind of hard. It is. It's really hard to take this woman seriously. And whose cartridge was it? Was it your girlfriend's?
Man.
And then, are these women really doing the right thing? Because, and I don't know, I believe it is, but somebody told me that the WNBA is like 95% homosexual.
Oh, see, that right there.
That's not right.
We could get into that.
That's not right. So you mean to tell me that girls can't even play basketball without getting homosexuality pushed on them, and nobody says anything about it? Then you go into a country where we're at war. You're an American. You are a homosexual. Homosexuality is outlawed in that country. And then you think it's a game.
I remember this girl was in the NBA. I think her name was Candace Wiggins. She was real good, bro. Like hooper. And she was the one who kind of came out with that at first about the WNBA. and that whole thing going on. I seen it firsthand, right? We gonna get back to what we was on, but since you brought this up, and this is how come I really kind of want to keep this where it's at, because when we start dealing with the variables, a lot of what I'm saying will be negated because the information's information. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. I remember I was working at Red Robin, and this is like literally the first couple years of the WNBA, and they had a team in town, and all the team was sitting at a table except for these two girls, and they were sitting at a other table, and the women at the main table was having an open conversation about these other two women because they wasn't part of the certain lifestyle. And it is true that if you don't participate in certain shit in the WNBA, you could have a hard time or you could get ostracized. This is true. I seen it and heard it with my own ears, bro. I ain't never in my life seen a basketball team where the whole team is sitting together. Then you got two people who they got their own area to sit, but that's because they had husbands and shit. Yeah, facts, bro. I seen it, bro. It did that has happened, bro. And you know, when we talking about that, I mean, because I will say this, I'm almost certain that if Brittney Griner was with a man and she had them assault charges or DV charges, they would have dealt with her in a more aggressive manner. But you was dealing with another WNBA player. And that's like some in-house shit. That's just like in the NFL and the NBA. Like, man, Michael Irvin almost killed a motherfucker. And Jerry Jones covered it up. So this type of behavior and this type of shit in pro sports is normal. But when it comes to the women, and I know this is pretty much your point, we don't say shit. You absolutely right. I can't defend that nigga. I'ma sound stupid.
Yeah, man. You know, there's layers. That's why I like this one right here, because there's different layers to it, and we're gonna unpeel it.
Might think that her defense teams, having her plead guilty was a strategy for potentially a lighter sentence. Are you saying that's not the case? Was that a good move? I mean, we should note that Russian criminal courts reportedly have a conviction rate of 99%. So, they were possibly just hoping for a lighter sentence.
What? Bro.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Whoa. 99%.
I didn't know that. Did you know that?
Man, I think that's more than the feds. That's more than the feds.
Bro, the feds is 97%, right?
It's up there. I mean, it's at least 90.
Man, bro, 99% conviction. Come on, Dr. Hood. God damn, bro.
I mean, you would think that she knew, or maybe she, a lot of people, man, they get away with stuff so many times. They don't even be checking. They don't even be checking. People giving her the wrong information. Or, if I'm gonna give her any benefit, I'm gonna say it's the girlfriend's sack. That was her sack. She had it. It's in Bay's clothes. Here, Bay, hold this. All this bullshit.
Right.
And then now, you done got caught up. You done got her caught up. She didn't know she had it. It was probably in a spot. Or maybe they're overanalyzing the luggage. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. This is America. America does a lot of things that we don't know about in other countries and stuff. And that maybe that was their time to protect their country and really scream Brittney Griner to the maximum ability.
Okay, so I'm just going to assume she was coming into Russia, yeah?
Yeah, we can assume that, because She would. I don't think
And
they're gonna
so,
check your bag when you get off the
so
plane
she left from America.
or
Okay, so
wherever. It could have been another
I've
country
never been to Russia.
playing.
I've never been to Russia. First of all, so these questions I'm asking are not rhetorical. I'm literally asking, what country did she did was it a straight flight? Like when you come from America to Russia, did they go straight to Russia? Like, is it like she left out of Alaska? Because I know Alaska is really close to Russia, right?
Or maybe she was trying to leave or something. I think she was checking her bags and
To leave Russia. Oh
I
man,
mean, because
bro.
it happened on Russian soil. So, and I don't know if she was coming from the U.S. or going home, or I don't know. Oh, okay. So she was leaving.
Okay, she was leaving.
Okay, that's kind of what I
So,
thought.
man, see, I got so many questions now, bro. I got so many questions. So you was leaving Russia, so you went there with it, or did she not have it when she went? Because if you got that there, you gonna have to tell.
My thing is, why don't you just leave it there?
Why wouldn't you just leave it there, bro?
Like if you already smuggled it from the United States to there successfully, you could go get 100 of them in the United States if that's
Man,
what you want
bro,
to do once you get off the plane.
couldn't she just went to Amsterdam real quick, bro? Ain't she
I
right
don't.
over there?
Well, apparently when they took the blood the drug test on her, it came back negative. She didn't have any marijuana in her system, and I know she's an athlete and maybe she doesn't smoke that much. Like if it was me, that weed's gonna be in
Right.
my system for, like they say, weed stays in the system for 30 days. My shit probably gonna stay in there for about 35 days, right?
Right.
Because I'm about to roll up right now. You know what I'm saying? I probably already hit a piece of doobie or something that was on my desk, an hour ago, right? But it's kind of weird how she didn't have it in her system,
Yeah.
But this is just the first layer. This is before the sentencing. This is actually, when she pled guilty. So we're just getting some layers. I think this is a really good clip to flip through.
I think the Russian counsel did the best they could in light of the Russian legal system. And they have tried to make a case for leniency, but it is up to the judge to decide what the sentence will be. So I think the Russian counsel did the best they could do in light of the system that works in the Russian Federation, and that pleading guilty as opposed to contesting the charges most likely was the best strategy.
I want to bring in now Jessica Levinson. She is a legal contributor for CBS.
So they don't play no games. So if that was the good strategy, that's what it was. This just goes to show that, Russia don't play no games. And if they say they're going to give you 10 years,
that's what the fuck you get.
9 is love. 9 it's seeming like 9 years is love in this situation. Now she has to serve that time, and then we were talking about it. What the fuck is gonna happen? So if let's say they do the prisoner swap and get her back home, do we give her a standing ovation when she walks up in the arena? Or what? It's gonna be the case that catapults the WNBA and gets a lot of eyes on the WNBA and the WNBA a very profitable organization like the NBA or other leagues?
Well, me and you aren't, right? But we know there's a dynamic that's going to, because of the politics involved. You made a real strong point when you brought up the whole use of the word political pawn, right? And
Right.
it coming from her, I get it. I see what you're doing. I think that anybody with any type of understanding sees what you're doing, and you're going with the rhetoric of political prayer. Yeah, nah, I mean, you definitely aren't smart with the way you handled this.
I mean, would you be a political prisoner if your ass didn't have that cartridge?
That's what I was just about to say. You like, I mean, yeah, I hear you on a like your political. So, what politics do you fight on behalf of where where you could be imprisoned on? Like, are you against sexism, racism, financial exploitation? You know, are you pro cryptocurrency and trying to crumble the banking system? Like, what have you done to where we get to attach politic and pawn to you? You might be some sort of pawn, but I don't like the political pawn shit. Yeah, I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that. I mean, that's cool to empower. I think that we all need empowerment, but yeah, that's a little bit heavy for me, for my comprehension.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, definitely.
Yes News, and she's also been following this.
Let's hear
Jessica,
what Jessica
we've
got
been
to say.
talking to William about the legal
on in here,
strategy in trying to plead guilty and hope for a lesser sentence. We also are very interested in the potential this is having greater ramifications geopolitically. How do you think that might factor in or not factor in to what's happening in Russia?
Well, obviously, we're having two tracks of conversations here. We're having the legal track, and that has almost come to an end at this point. I mean, the verdict is not a surprise. She pled guilty. As I just heard you discuss, Russia has a more than 99% conviction rate. And we're also having a conversation about the political track, which is, this offer of potentially we will swap prisoners. And I think we were really waiting when it came to that political track to see what happened in this case. It's not a surprise, but I understand that the political negotiations that people on both sides essentially indicated, let's wait to see for the trial to come to a conclusion. Now it puts a lot more pressure, I think, on the Biden administration to say, okay, the legal case is all but over. Now let's make a deal, because people do not want her to sit in a Russian prison cell for a decade.
I want to bring in also.
You broke the law, and that's what the law permitted. That's what they said. CD Sean, my guy, CD motherfucking Sean. What up, fam? I don't know. I mean, I know this. We can all say, because we all smoking right now, right? That this is ridiculous for somebody to even get a ticket. Even if it was $1,000 fine or they $20,000 fine, we're like, damn. You fine $20,000 for having a cartridge at the airport, So we know that it's lopsided and it's ridiculous, but we also know that it's against the law, and that's what the law writes.
Yeah, real shit. I mean, we could go back to this, even though it's two different things. Anytime you're dealing with two things, it's going to be two different things. That nigga Joel Santana, when he was in LaGuardia and he got caught with that gun and he ran and all that shit, and then that nigga ended up getting federal time. right? The dude didn't even do nothing with the gun. He got caught with the gun, but you was at an airport, right? First of all, you in New York City. You can't even have a gun. That's 5 years to have the gun. It don't matter if you in the right or in the
Right.
wrong, right? But you did it. Then you was about to try to transport it. You got caught at the airport. Yo, yeah, nigga, that was enough to get you time. And everybody said he was stupid or what was he thinking? Da da da. And I admit myself too. Even now, I'm all like, oh, this is too much time. This is too much time. But when you look at what was going on, it's a 10-year sentence. And you was there with it. I mean, one thing about me, if I'm gonna be in Russia doing anything, I'm gonna know the laws on it. And that's just that. I'm in Russia.
Yeah. I mean, you would hope so. I think it just shows that she's really not that smart. And you know, she's probably influencing everybody. Oh, I do it all the time. Everybody, oh, such and such does it all the time. Such and such plays over there. I go to Guatemala and play, and you know, I go here and go there, and you know, everything's good. These cartridges, oh, because I know women that they just put it right in their makeup. You know, it looks like makeup. You know, just a little pen, a little stick of makeup, but they checked it. They checked it. And there was, I didn't hear anything about them planting it on her or you know, nothing like that. I didn't hear anything like that.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, we know that narrative, you know, they started the narrative of planting it on her. But my thing is this. If they gonna
Yeah,
plant
that didn't get no traction. That narrative didn't get any traction.
my thing with that narrative is this. If they gonna plant it on her, why didn't they plant no cocaine or no crocodile or no heroin, something to where we could just get you a gang of time or the death penalty? Why would we do weed cartridges? Well, why wouldn't we do actual weed? I bet you actual weed carries way more time than cartridges. So I would have put like a zip in your shit. I'm just saying if I'm setting you up. Because
Right.
the way they presented it to me was like it was a traffic stop. You know how they do. Throw something in your car. Oh, what is this? Here we go. You playing games. And even that shit don't result in no crazy time. But this, I'm just like, nah, if they gonna set you up in a country like that, they gonna get you life. Like you just said, Russia don't play no games, bro.
I just don't see why Brittney Griner, and I ain't no hater, bro. I ain't know you guys, oh, Dr. Hood. I don't think she's special enough. Joseph Townsend, he said, you know, they're swapping for a guy who's been locked up for a while. That guy, I believe he's been locked up for over 20 years. The one that they're swapped for. Okay. Yeah. CD Shine. She said she forgot all about that joint because she took it all around the world and no one looked at it twice. Yeah.
CBS News foreign correspondent MTS Tayeb joining Jessica and William. MTS, thanks for being here. What can you tell us about what you're hearing there overseas?
Hey, good to talk to you, and thanks for having me. Look, we're getting this information in real time. In fact, we're watching a feed right now where you can see Brittney Griner, which is essentially in this cage where her translator is telling her what's happening in the courts. And she hasn't really betrayed an awful lot of emotion as she learned that she was convicted. And as we've been hearing and as we've been saying, we were expecting this conviction. She did admit to carrying these vape cartridges. It's extraordinary that when you consider the amount.
So he said cartridges. So because I'm thinking it was a cartridge. So does she have multiple, or I mean, what is going on here, right?
That she was carrying such a small amount. We understand just under a gram, but in Russia,
Okay,
of course,
under a gram.
those laws are fairly strict, and that is why she finds herself in this situation today. But
In Russia,
again,
these laws are very strict. The laws are very strict over there. I think everybody, even if you're not going outside the United States, you need to check the laws when you're doing certain things so you at least know what you're looking at. And if it's only a year that you're looking at for doing that, it's only 6 months or 90 days or something like that, then I mean, then you could govern yourself accordingly. But if it's having a vape cartridge, a half a gram will get you 9 years. And I believe if she knew that, I don't think she would have did that. But that, like, just like the judge told me, he said ignorance is not an excuse for the law. It's not an excuse. Just because you didn't know doesn't mean it wasn't illegal. So that's an unfortunate situation that she got herself into.
and we also saw a very emotional Brittney Griner as she addressed the court ahead of her conviction, where she basically said to the court, "Please don't take my life away. This was an honest mistake." She talked about how she loved playing in Russia with her team. She spent many years playing here, and she apologized profusely again and again, not only to the court, but to her teammates back home in the U.S., to her family, and to her spouse as well. And as you can imagine, this has been a terrible ordeal, not just for Brittney Griner, but for all who know her and all who love her. But again, as we've been saying, this isn't just the case of a decorated WNBA star caught up in Russia. This has much broader geopolitical ramifications involving the governments of Russia and the United States, whose relationship at this very moment is perhaps the worst it's been in decades. And that's saying a lot. And as we've been saying as well, we understand that the secretary.
Well, they want to get leverage. I think they're really, this is a leverage thing. If they get the right leverage, then they'll be able to do what they want to do and get that other prisoner swapped. I believe if they would have gave Brittney Griner a year or two, I don't think that would have been a fair enough deal. So they maxed her out, basically maxed her out. They gave her 9 out of 10. I don't know how much you got to serve off of that. Nonviolent crime, who knows? Brittney Griner might only serve, 50% of it. Some people get a third off. I think federal gets a tenth off. So you'll actually do 9 off of 10. So you'll do, a little over 8 off of 9, you just can't do that. You can't move like this. And then, so what's going to happen? And I keep asking this question, so what if she does get swapped, for the prisoner swap? Is she just free to come back and play basketball? I don't know. Inquiring minds want to know.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke to his own counterpart in Russia, Sergei Lavrov, the first time these two men have spoken since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, in which a deal presented to Russia. Again, as we look at that, with her argument counter on that weakness very seriously. So Brittney Griner finds herself in a pretty terrible situation.
Yeah, so they didn't take the offer seriously when they came at them with the swap, and then it's like, oh no, well, let's just see what happens with the case. Let's just see. Nah, they're not playing like that. See, that's what she thought was going on. She thought everybody was playing with her. Okay? Russia's not fucking around. They're at war right now. They got troops running around, blowing shit up right now. So you think they're going to be playing around with just the perfect chance? And then Brittney Griner, you know, she run up in there and, you know, all of the up in the courtroom. She might as well have to stay there, Sean. She had the Nipsey Hussle shirt on, the, you know, the Bob Marley, Jimi Hendrix, you know, all these guys. That's not making her case look better. Now, she might be trying to rally some support from different people, try to rally some support and try to get some people behind her. But that's not going to cut the mustard.
She's been behind bars for 168 days. And while we're waiting for that sentencing, there is a very real chance that she could see herself behind bars for many years to come.
William, I want to get your take on something that Imtiaz said, as well as something that you were saying. Obviously, this is taking place in the context of very poor relations between the U.S. and Russia. But as you said, Russian laws are already very strict when it comes to drugs. Do you believe that she would be treated differently if we weren't in the middle of this international conflict and these poor relations between the two countries?
I mean, I don't really care what dude thinks. I just think that that's their law. So what am I supposed to do? To put a half of weed in my nuts and fly to Moscow and think that I'm not going to get the same treatment? They got a 99% conviction rate. 99%. That means if 100 of you motherfuckers go to jail, 99 of you motherfuckers is getting broke off. So I hope you don't have any drugs or anything on you. Like, you guys going to be doing a lot of fucking time. That sounds like a zero tolerance country. Okay? It sounds like they're not fucking around. I got a crew from my hood, you know, they call NFA, not fucking around. That's like Russia. So what's going to happen when they swap this prisoner? Been in jail for 25 years. I need to do some research on him. They said he's a dangerous motherfucker. Salute Concrete Radio Live. I dropped the link if you guys want to come on up. I'm just chopping it up. You know what I'm saying? We just getting this, putting in this work. You know what I'm saying? So when I get my 100,000 subs, a motherfucker can't be like, oh man, he got 100,000 subs out of nowhere. Nah, I put in work. I put in that mad work. You dig?
It's very hard to say. Other people who have found themselves in Russian courtrooms before the Ukraine-Russia war have received significant sentences. So it is, I would think, unlikely that it would be different in terms of the actual application of Russian law.
And it wasn't different. It wasn't any different. They slapped her with the Mac. They slapped Brittney Griner with the Mac. You guys, please hit the like and subscribe button. Hit that like button. I'm trying to get these videos out here.
The question about diplomacy is very important because Blinken and Lavrov really haven't talked to each other for the entire war in Ukraine. And so, yes,
So there's a war going on in Ukraine, right next door. You over there playing basketball, a privilege. You're getting paid. And you're not on your best behavior. If this isn't a lesson, and I hope she does come home. I just want to know what's going to happen. You know, I know it's all kind of unfair. What's his name? Josh Gordon. Is it Josh Gordon? Josh Gordon, he gets marijuana in his system. He came and played football. He getting suspension after suspension after suspension after suspension. So what do? American citizen, supposed to be a role model. Okay, there's plenty of girls. My daughter got a Brittney Griner autographed picture in her room. So she's supposed to be a role model. Okay. So what are they going to do? You swap the prisoner. He's been locked up for 20 years. He's a bad motherfucker. They said he's some crazy. He got a crazy title to his name. I'm just waking him in, y'all. This guy got a crazy title to his name. The leader of destruction or something, the emperor of destruction or, some crazy ass shit, bro. And we're supposed to swap an NBA, WNBA player. Yeah, she is one of the best ones, but is that a good swap? And are there going to be some consequence to Brittney Griner's actions? Because she's looking like a deer in headlights right now. She's looking like a deer in headlights, famo. Straight deer.
Are very strange. And as I mentioned before, I think Russia is in the driver's seat in these negotiations, since Biden has political pressure to try to bring Brittney Griner home. And Victor Bout has been in the American prison for over a decade. And although obviously it would be a great triumph for Vladimir Putin to get Victor Bout home, I don't think Russians are in the same rush, as it were, as the United States.
Jessica, a little bit ago, we played some of Griner's final plea. This was a mistake, apologizing. Of course, the Russian court system is different than it is here in the U.S. Will her statements, do you think, have much of an impact in what her sentence will be as we await that final sentence?
So we don't know. And the answer is that, as in the US, a lot of this comes down to the judge and whether or not the judge wants to consider aggravating factors, mitigating factors, but not as with respect to the US. And as you've had this conversation already, I think that the Russian court system tends to be, for lack of a better way of describing this, much more stringent, much more tough on crime. Imagine in the US if we had a conviction rate approaching 100%. And so a conviction obviously is different from the length of the sentence, but prosecutors we know have asked for almost a decade here. And the fact that Brittney Griner has said, "I'm sorry, I apologize," we don't know how that's going to play in, because honestly, we would need to know how this judge reacts to pleas of "this is a mistake." And it's interesting that her defense really took, I think, two tracks. One was don't find her guilty, even though she pled guilty, and there were a bunch of kind of procedural and due process issues with respect to her detainment and her arrest. And the other was, well, please open your heart and kind of take pity on her. She made an honest mistake. This is a small amount. It was legal in her state, in Arizona, where she had a medical marijuana prescription. And we just don't know if either track will be successful when it comes to
fair use. We don't want no smoke with CBS. We don't want no smoke with none of them trying to get our channel shot down over us, trying to get some of this content. You dig? So everything's fair use. But yeah, so it is legal. in Arizona where she has a marijuana card, and it just sounds so elementary to me, bro. It really does, because if this was my black ass, they don't never show me no fucking love, bro. I swear to you. I swear. And I want her to come home. I want Brittney Griner to come home and do her thing, But I want this to be a lesson, because she's not the only one that's jumping on the plane with cartridges. Let's be totally honest, right?
To the length of the sentence. Again, this is such a fraught case because obviously it's playing out both in the courtroom, but also the judge has to be aware of what's happening outside in the political arena, where we do have these two countries whose relationship really has broken down, and they have to speak to each other because of her.
Imtiaz, Russian officials have said that any discussion about a prisoner swap would have to wait until this trial is over. Do you have any more sense?
That's why I think they rushed it, because it's like, okay, you can't go nowhere. And that's how they get people around here. You can't go nowhere until this happens or this happens. And all you thinking about is the poor treatment that you're getting in there. You're not getting steaks and you're not getting none of that up in there. You're getting some nasty food. It's cold. Some old smush. You don't know what it is. A little cardboard Scooby snack. It's terrible. You're literally starving in there. Like a guy that's eating good on the streets, he's gonna lose weight, bro. If you're eating good on the streets and you get locked up for a couple weeks, in this case, Brittney Griner locked up for 165 days. She's been locked up 168 days. Okay? So, and that's how they get you. Oh, man, we're just going to go ahead and plead and get it over with, because we draw these guys out, they probably going to give us 10. So you get it over with real quick, and what do? They give you 9. The court system, they don't like getting dragged along. If I hurry up and resolve this case quickly, they'll show more lenience on me. That's not how it's supposed to go. The judge is supposed to look at the case for what it is and make his judgment, not based on emotions or all the crowd and everything that's going on, the media and everything. That can't be her decision. She has to make a decision. And apparently, this is what they've been doing to people over there. They're looking at that like it's a more concentrated version. That's a zero tolerance. They don't have no tolerance for crime over there. When you get the 99% conviction rate, that lets you know that they're not bullshitting.
Of how quickly something like that might happen, or those negotiations that are happening?
Well, I think that in a way that's already been said. The ball is really in Russia's court, for lack of a better phrase. They are really the ones who can decide whether or not Brittney Griner and the other American who is held in a Russian prison, Michael Whelan, will be freed as part of this swap. And we have to.
Okay, so it's Joseph. Okay, you had it right. See, I didn't know anything about another prisoner. There's another prisoner involved in this swap, and I guess that's what they're trying to do. So obviously, I can't just do one video, because I'm the type, I'm not really doing no research while I'm already up. We're just gonna get it up and go in. We're just gonna have to catch it on the rebound, you know.
Look at the broader global context of prisoner swaps. This doesn't happen a lot, right? The U.S. doesn't do this a lot. Other countries don't do it a lot. And it really just underscores the seriousness of which President Biden is taking this case. We have to understand he's been criticized quite harshly by figures within his own party and indeed many others who don't think he has done enough or reacted quickly enough when Brittney Griner was first arrested. Remember, she was arrested just days before Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. And that's been nearly 6 months ago, 168 days.
Oh, I was muted up. My bad. But imagine, just imagine, you know, you're traveling, you're doing basketball, you're going to this country, you get locked up, and then 4 days later, a war breaks out. They invade Ukraine 4 days later. You know, I had my timeline a little wrong. I thought, you know, that it was already going on, but I mean, the tension was clearly there. It just didn't pop off out of nowhere. Like, we've seen the standoffs, and, you know, it was tense. It was real tense. You know, then she jumps into the fold. Smug. I thought it was her girlfriend's, but if it was over there already, it must have been a layover and some different stuff, but I can't see why she didn't have any drugs in her system. You know, and she didn't want to say it wasn't hers. So that's what that would have been my defense if it wasn't. If it's not mine, I don't know how this thing got in here. I don't know how this got in here, bro. I really don't. I'm really not taking responsibility for something that wasn't mine. And I know it wasn't mine. Just volunteer and just take responsibility for it, right? So the fact that she knew is even more ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? Did your girlfriend tell you to bring that back to the United States? Did she not care about you that much that she said, you know what? Bring my cartridge back. Bring that cartridge back. And Brittney put it in her bag. Oh, just put it in her bag.
I heard that she had like I said, you already know, I said from the jump, I don't know a lot. Maybe I should have done more research. Since she got all that time, I'm a lot more interested in the subject. Absolutely.
No, absolutely.
I heard, I'm pretty sure you could look this up, that she had a prescription and that they okayed it in that country, brother.
No, I didn't hear that.
Okay.
I heard she had a prescription for where she was from in Arizona, you know, in the state of Arizona. Okay. And she had the doctor that okayed it, but that he's not okaying it to be traveling to places that it's illegal. Ain't no doctor that good, you know. And even in America, marijuana is not legal on a federal level.
Yeah, right.
It's not. It's still not.
Right.
They taking cash at those dispensaries. That's why dudes is running up in the dispensaries, robbing dispensaries.
Fact.
It's because they're working with cash. You know, if they can't take a card. They got an ATM right inside. You go in the dispensary, you go straight to the ATM, you get you some money out, then you go straight to the counter. That's how they move it. So it ain't even legal here. It's not. And I thought they was going to open it up to the fact where Nobody could profit off of it. I would have been cool with that because they just killed all of the business that was in the hood. They killed it. So this is the seriousness of this. This, in Russia, they don't want that shit there. You guys go to America if you guys want to be doing all those drugs and popping all that shit. We got 99% conviction rate over here. We're not fucking around.
Yeah, 99%. I mean, the way,
And here we are now with this conviction. We're waiting to hear what her sentencing will be. But when it comes to how quickly some sort of deal can be reached, how soon we could see Brittney Griner go home, again, the ball really is in Russia's court, and it will be up to, frankly, I'd imagine it'd go all the way up to Vladimir Putin to decide what will happen next. I think the offer from the U.S. Of Victor Bout, who is, of course, a notorious arms dealer, somebody who is accused of being involved in pretty heinous crimes, for the U.S. to offer him up as a swap, I think is a pretty significant gesture. But we've been hearing that for the Russians so far, the sort of reaction they've had to this deal has been, and this is the words that we've been hearing from our sources on the ground in state, was that the Russians weren't taking it seriously enough. And so if that's the state of play we're at now, in which the White House doesn't feel, and more importantly, the State Department doesn't feel that Russia is taking this offer seriously and is coming back to them with counteroffers which don't feel serious either, we're really in a bind. And again, it really casts this shadow over Brittney Griner's future.
And then they're going to expect Biden to get her out. And I'm going to tell you, because I love the black community. I love the black community. And if Biden does this, the black community is going to feel like Biden, like that's enough. That's enough for Biden to do. He did that. That's enough. We love him. And they hold him to the fire. Like, oh, what's Joe Biden going to do? What's he going to do? If that was LeBron James, that was the most ridiculous statement I heard. If that was LeBron James, they would have been swapped the prisoners or went and got them, and all, like, they're just going to fly jets all the way up into Russia and go capture a guy named LeBron James, right? And the process is going to be quicker than this. That lets me know they don't know how the justice system works, how things work.
I mean, yeah, bro. Everything, I'm learning so much right now, bro. This is crazy.
Well, you're not bailing out. We're giving you a no bail. For one,
Man.
You can't argue with that. You're a flight risk. You got money. People in all kind of different states and stuff. That's how that works. For the square bears that don't know shit about the law, and that's good that motherfuckers don't know about the law. But that's how that works. All these people. They got how do I know you know all these people? Okay, well, we got pictures with you with multiple people in multiple states. And on your Instagram, it shows you're in 7 different states in the United States. So that means you at least know 7 different people, and that you can go hide out. So you're a flight risk. You can't get out. LeBron would be even worse. But for some reason they'll think, oh, if it was LeBron, well, if it was LeBron wouldn't have did that.
But like you just said, they don't fuck around. And if it was LeBron, he might have even had more stipulations because he got more resources. Like they're making sure that you're gonna get dealt with and prosecuted. That's for sure, bro.
future, because I'm certain her family was really heartened that the U.S. was offering this prisoner swap, that they were public about it. That in itself was surprising. And we understand at the time when it was announced that this prisoner swap, or rather when the prisoner swap deal was announced, we later learned that it was a very deliberate move by the State Department, because they wanted to put Russia under pressure to respond to it. But that response so far, as we've been saying, has not been, quote, serious enough.
This lets me know how much.
Wait. I gotta say, let me ask you something. So, did I just hear that it was the U.S.'s idea for that? Like they offered the arms dealer? Is that what you just said?
I think Russia came at them first.
I hope so.
I'm not sure. We could rewind it.
So.
We could rewind it. That's one thing that we definitely can do here at Dr. Hood, and that's rewind it a little bit just so we can get the context.
That for the Russians so far, the sort of reaction they've had to this deal has been, and this is the words that we've been hearing from our sources on the ground in state, was that the Russians weren't taking it seriously enough. And so if that's the state of play we're at now, in which the White House doesn't feel, and more importantly, the State Department doesn't feel that Russia is taking this offer seriously and is coming back to them with counteroffers, which don't feel serious either, we're really in a bind. And again,
that right there lets me know that, the U.S. threw the offer out there. From what, if I had to take it from him, and then Russia really didn't take it seriously, and they coming back with counter offers and stuff. And I hear the guy that the arms dealer or whatever, I like to be wrong, because that means you guys can correct me. I can learn something. But I hear he's been locked up for a couple decades, right?
Yeah, he's been locked up for 25 years.
So now you're gonna just try to swap now? Well, why don't we let Brittney sit in there for 5 or 6 years, and then, we'll think about it. You feel me? Like, you see what type of shit you're playing with? And for somebody to say, if that was LeBron James, that it would have been any better, that's ridiculous.
Especially
only
knowing
thing
what we know
different
now.
Well, only thing different is LeBron James wouldn't have did this dumbass shit like Brittney Griner did. This is some dumbass shit. I can't just say it's dumb when it's somebody else, and then now that it's a WNBA player, it wasn't dumb. If that was a nigga from my hood, that's dumb. Why would you do that? It's in the middle of a war. I don't know. Double standards.
Yeah, it really casts this shadow over Brittney Griner's future, because I'm certain her family was really heartened that the U.S. was offering this prisoner swap, that they were public about it. That in itself was surprising. And we understand at the time when it was announced that this prisoner swap, or rather when the prisoner swap deal was announced, we later learned that it was a very deliberate move by the State Department, because they wanted to put Russia under pressure to respond to it. But that response so far, as we've been saying, has not been, quote, serious enough. And so Brittney Griner, as she awaits for this sentencing, is certainly sitting there thinking, I've been behind bars for 168 days now. How much longer will I be behind bars? And as she said earlier in the court, please don't take my life from me. Please don't end my life. So this is a very serious situation for her as she waits to find out what's going to happen to her.
MTS, as you're speaking, we can see the live feed of Brittney Griner just moments ago shaking her head, making us wonder, if in fact the sentence is being read. We are waiting to hear what that will be, but certainly a moment of disbelief, maybe shock and sadness for her as we watch her sitting in a cage in a Russian courtroom, looking down with translators behind her. We are waiting to hear from our own translators as we sit here in New York. Jessica, I just want to turn to you again. And we've touched on this a bit, but there's been criticism of the efforts of the WNBA and Griner's team, the Phoenix Mercury, to put pressure on President Biden to bring Brittney home. Some say
put pressure on President Biden to bring Brittney home. because America just doesn't get it. Drugs are illegal in Russia. They might not be illegal here. You know, they're trying to make a lot of things legal here. They're trying to make a lot of things legal here. I remember getting pulled over by the police one day. It was me and my good partner, Nutcase. And we was rolling. And the police got behind us. We were smoking one. I think we had two. One of them was rolled in the ashtray, and one of them was about to be rolled in the ashtray because he just put it in the ashtray. The police got behind us. I had 2 zips in my pocket. I put the 2 zips down in the seat, stuffed them down in the side of the seat, and pulled over into his grandma's driveway. Pulled in the driveway. They blew us over. We got out the car, all of that. They was like, you know, you guys got some guns and stuff. You know, they was looking for guns. Nah, man, we ain't got no guns. You know, I knew they had the weed. I knew all of that. When I was about to get back in the car, because they was letting us go. They was like, all right, man, we're going to let you guys go. You guys, you know, don't be out here smoking and doing, you know, go sit in the yard and, you know, go do something. And I was about to ask him, I was about to be like, bro, can we just keep the 2 blunts that we rolled up at least? Just this, because I didn't really care about the 2 zips. They wasn't locking us up, but I didn't say nothing. We got back in the car. The 2 zips was on the seat. It wasn't stuffed in the middle of the you know what I'm saying? And the two blunts that we was rolling, well, one was half rolled, one was rolled. The 2 blunts was still there. And the 2 zips. You feel me? So in that situation, and then this was like 10 years before they legalized it. You know, we in the state of Washington. So, you know, in other states, you'd be like, oh, really? Oh, man, I know people, you know, and that's true. So when it comes to a guy that should be looking at this like a minor situation, it would be me. Trust me. But this isn't Seattle, Washington. This is fucking Moscow. Okay? And so with the WNBA, they're trying to pressure Joe Biden to make decisions and do all of this stuff, which I'm pretty sure he's probably scrambling, trying to do what he can do. But as you can see, he's not as powerful as people give, you know, people. Like, you just can't go up in another country and just snatch people that, especially she's been convicted. She's been convicted, so she owes them. She's been sentenced. You know, so whatever treatment she's getting right now or whatever, I don't know how the penitentiaries work. Maybe she might be friends with everybody. Maybe she might be playing basketball with the females, and they might love her in there. Who knows? Maybe she might be in protected custody. Maybe she might be getting mistreated by the guards. Maybe it's bad up in the Russian jails. You know, maybe they give people so much time, people just go crazy up in there, man. Like I said, you get for a goddamn cartridge, they said like a half a gram. You know, a half a gram, bro. We're not talking about as 2 zips and one blunt rolled up and one blunt halfway rolled up. The cop let us go. That's a true story. You feel me? I was going to ask him for just, hey, man, can you just give us the 2 blunts back at least? But I didn't say nothing. And right when I opened the car door, the 2 zips was on the seat. We're not talking about that. We're talking about going into Russia 4 days before they invaded Ukraine. That's what we're talking about right now. With a 99% conviction
rate, right?
I think the feds is like a 90% or 90, you know.
No, I thought they
feds
was like 9.
subject.
I thought the feds was 97%.
Okay.
They pretty high too, but yeah, 99%.
This is higher, and this ain't even federal, or maybe it is. She was at the airport and everything. Maybe it is. You know, maybe this is. Maybe it didn't go. Maybe it's just on a federal level, or whatever they got over there. It's on that their level. You guys hit the like and subscribe button, y'all. Hit the like and subscribe button.
Say all the media attention is making her seem more valuable to Moscow. What is your take on that?
I think that's a really difficult question, and I hate to answer it this way, but the real answer is we'll know after we know if there was a success with respect to a prisoner swap. I know that the Biden administration initially, I think, tried to, I don't want to say keep this quiet, but tried not to put as much of a spotlight as the WNBA and Brittney Griner supporters did, where they
right. So the Brittney Griner supporters, the WNBA, and even though I understand that they got to jump out there and say something before shit gets out of hand, and everybody wants to be super political, but that worked in a negative. It worked negatively against her with her case, because now Moscow sees her as a real good chess piece now. She's not just some chick over there playing basketball no more, because they want to put this big spotlight and put her logo on the court in the WNBA. You know, they might be wearing a Brittney Griner patch and Free Brittney t-shirts and all of this. And I understand you got to do what you got to do to raise awareness. But she's saying Biden didn't want to put all of that focus on there from a presidential standpoint. You guys hit that like button. We're just trying to boost it. Algorithms fucked up. YouTube, they don't want no real niggas to win, bro. I'm going to just let you know that right out the gate. They don't want no real niggas to win. YouTube is being ran by a bunch of fake motherfuckers. I can guarantee you that. I done spent my time in these algorithms, pushing a hard line, making videos, bringing you this hot content. YouTube, they're just not, man. They're not putting the shit out there. They're not, it don't matter if you're consistent. I tried it all. So it's up to y'all. If this is the content that we want to get out here, you guys got to hit that like and subscribe button. And so we can keep it going, because I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep it pushing. And when I get my other channel back, those that know, you guys already know, we going out all the way up. It's going to be all the way up. New digital layouts, new everything, Trust me. Okay, so enough about that. Let me get my light. What y'all smoking on? Put it in the chat. They'd say, you shouldn't cuss on the videos. It'll do better success. And, all of that's why I need y'all, man. I'm not stopping cussing, man. Fuck everybody, man. You know what I'm saying? Fuck everybody. Straight up. Bring you this raw. So the WNBA, they put negative attention on this girl. It was the wrong kind of attention. You're jumping up and down. This girl committed a crime. This crime holds 10 years. So what are they supposed to do?
really put pressure on the Biden administration. I think their preference was to try and do this more behind the scenes and not to try and elevate her case beyond the case of any other American prisoner, for instance. Now, I think her supporters viewed it as a success that after that pressure, that there was the offer of a prisoner swap. And as you've had the conversation, I absolutely agree. So much of this, I think, really Russia has the power here. They are the ones who are not in any particular hurry. I don't think they're feeling the same political pressure. And they're the ones who are going to have to make a determination about whether or not they want to go ahead with one of these offers. The US government, I think, really is on the defensive. And that is in part because of the attention, obviously completely understandable attention that was given to her. And she is getting I don't want to say legally in the Russian courtroom, but outside of the courtroom politically, she's obviously getting a different treatment than somebody who is not an athletic star. And it's really hard to determine in the end, is that going to ultimately, to your question, is that going to help her case that there's more eyes on?
So for these guys that just think that, Russia is just some punks and they'll treat LeBron James any different. Okay.
Well, what I just heard her admit is that celebrities and athletes get special treatment, and they expected her to get special treatment, and now it didn't happen, and they don't know what to do.
I didn't get that. Hold up. Let me go back.
Yeah,
I didn't really get that.
That's what we was expecting her to get, the superstar treatment. It ain't happened.
Not in any particular hurry. I don't think they're feeling the same political pressure. And they're the ones who are going to have to make a determination about whether or not they want to go ahead with one of these offers. The US government, I think, really is on the defensive. And that is in part because of the attention, obviously completely understandable attention that was given to her. And she is getting I don't want to say legally in the Russian courtroom, but outside of the courtroom politically, she's obviously getting a different treatment than somebody who is not an athletic star. And it's really hard to determine in the end, is that going to ultimately, to your question, is that going to help her case that there's more eyes on her, that there's more light on this case, or will it undermine what the Biden administration, I think, was hoping to do more behind the scenes?
Jessica, in addition to being an American, and we're seeing, I'm just going to pause for 1 second because we are seeing her standing up in court for the first time as
Yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for her at all.
Nikki said, we saw her shaking her head for the first time. Otherwise, she had been really poker faced. So we are poised to hear what the judge has decided in any moment in terms of what her sentence is going to be. Prosecutors asking for 9.5 years. They also say that they argue that she did it deliberately, that she intended to bring the cannabis into the country, that they have charged her not only with possession, but also with drug smuggling. Does intent matter at all? Because we know that the defense has been arguing that this was a mistake. She was in a COVID fog. She had just packed everything really rapidly. And because she had a prescription for medical marijuana and was using it in the United States, that she never intended to bring this vape cartridge. Does that matter at all when it comes to this trial, Jessica?
So
the fact that she already had it in the country, she said she had to get it there. I know, unless she bought it there. Did she buy it in Moscow? Where did she get this thing?
I think yes and no. The answer is that for American viewers, we're used to intent obviously making a difference when it comes to liability and culpability, and many times even in the sentence. So you might have a completely different sentence if you inadvertently violated a law. For instance, on the federal level in America, it is still not legal to possess marijuana. But Russian courts have different protections and, frankly, far fewer protections when it comes to criminal defendants. So it clearly didn't matter when it came to whether or not she was liable, whether or not she was culpable. And now in moments, I think we'll hear whether or not it makes any difference when it comes to the length of the sentence. Again, I think anything under 9.5 years, which is what the prosecutors asked for here, would indicate that maybe the judge did take the defense's arguments here into consideration, into the idea that, she did inadvertently do this, that obviously she wouldn't have wanted to find herself on, the inside of a cage as we see her right now. But again, that's an answer that we'll know really in a few moments as to whether or not that played in the judge's mind.
Jessica and MTS and our viewers, stay with us. I just want to share some other breaking news. We're just learning from the Justice Department. 4 Louisville, Kentucky police officers now face federal charges in the drug raid that led to the death of Breonna Taylor. Just to remind our audience, Breonna Taylor, 26-year-old, was fatally shot in Kentucky in March of 2020 when at least 7 police officers forced entry into her apartment as part of an investigation into drug dealing operations. When I come back here, we're seeing some more movement in this Russian courtroom with Brittney Griner. MTS, I want to turn to you, and I'm honestly not sure if you can address this, but do we have any idea what the conditions in the Russian prison where Brittney Griner will be, has been, are, and just generally any reaction you're hearing there in Europe? I know this is just happening.
Right. And before I answer that question, I should let you know that this has just come in. We do have a sentencing for Brittney Griner. She's been sentenced to 9 years in prison, and she has been fined 1 million rubles, which is around $16,000 or $17,000. So
1 million rubles, y'all. Whatever, I mean, hey. Nine years? Ridiculous. But you got to understand, and if you're not going to study the other cases and the other situations where people got this kind of time, then it's going to be hard for you to wrap your head around it. But I'm sure people have gotten that kind of time for crime.
Well, one thing I will say with us is that we'll just throw LeBron's name in it before we actually study the cases, because then you're dealing with consistency. And we're not looking to deal with consistency. We're just looking to prove whatever point we're trying to prove with no proof of anything. So that's the whole thing with that. Like, bro, we're not going to do that research because we don't want the truth to come out. Right? So that's just us as the public, Brody.
Yeah.
Brittney Griner, again, sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison for these narcotics charges. Now, this is just 6 months less than what the prosecution was asking for. We have to remember that her lawyers had, for the entirety of the case, had appealed for leniency.
So the prosecution was asking for 9.5 years, bro. What? So they're going with the prosecution's recommendation. They must have made a hell of a case against her. That would have been one I would have wanted to sit in on. But this is good footage right here. This is pretty much everything up to date, current, Might be some more developments tonight. You know, we're gonna get into it because I want to get into this this armsman and the other guy that they're talking about. I want to see if there's some other situations.
Yeah, what's up with what's up? Let's
You know.
get into that.
Yeah. No, well, we definitely as soon as I get up off of here, I'm going straight to work and seeing what's going on. So you guys could definitely come back here and get some of that. But no, we still cooking. You know what I'm saying?
From this judge, trying to create a picture of an American athlete who was exhausted after a long flight, who had just recovered from COVID, who lived in a place where having a small quantity of this cannabis oil, which was prescribed to her from a doctor, it was a mistake, and that she packed it in haste, and it seems that has fallen on deaf ears in this court. Again, Brittney Griner sentenced to 9 years in prison and is going to be facing a fine of up to 1 million rubles, which again is around $16,000 or $17,000. And it really just underscores what we've been saying about this case, and more importantly about Russia's legal system when it comes to these crimes and when it comes to its court system.
They're not playing.
Generally, it usually doesn't bode very well for those who are caught up and who are accused of committing crimes, particularly drug crimes. And now we have this sentencing. But as far as the conditions go, we have heard from Brittney Griner in the past, in which she said that she was being cared for. And I think, again, being very careful in how she described the conditions in which she was or she's been imprisoned in. But we don't have a huge amount of information about the kind of food she's received.
I wasn't so careful about pumping her up to the fact that, you know, Russia's looking at her as a major chess piece now. Like, oh, USA, they love her, and we got her. She's gonna plead guilty. Oh, great, we got her. You know, we'll give her 6 months less than what the
Man,
prosecution was asking.
Right, bro.
We'll give her 6 months less. My last court situation. Wow. Okay, so I'm in jail, right? And the little dude, you know, the little the attorney comes up in there, and he's letting me know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? In my head, I'm thinking like, you know, because I got to go to arraign to the it's basically the probable cause, the first arraignment, and so he's like, what are you looking at as far as bail? Like, what can you afford? I said, what do you mean? I said, no bail. Let me out of my own recognizance. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I said, you know, I ain't in trouble in 13 years, 14 years. And, you know, I've been to every court date, you know, like, what do you mean? They was like, oh, well, they're probably not going to do that. He said, they're probably going to ask for like 50,000. I said, 50,000? You know, I was thinking maybe like 30,000 or some shit. They was like 50,000, right? So he was like, I said 50. I said, man, that's ridiculous. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, I can't go in there and argue about what, you know, I can't argue, you know, about what the bail is. I gotta just, you know, give me a number, and then, you know, I'm gonna tell him, you know, I gotta tell him something. You know what I'm saying? That's what he basically told me. I said, man, 10,000, you know. So we go up in there, and they asked for 250. They asked for 250,000. He thought that about, like, they was gonna say 50,000. Them motherfuckers said 250,000. So by us saying 10,000, the judge, I didn't level it, but he put it at 150,000, right? Which is still 15 times, you know, what the fuck I said, and it was only, you know, a fraction smaller than what they wanted, right? So they leaned closer toward them, but it was closer to the middle, right? In this situation, like what did their lawyer ask for? You know, did they even have any type of deal or anything going on? Because she hadn't took a deal or anything. This is ridiculous.
Hey, bro, I mean,
They didn't
like
give her
I
no
say,
lenience, like to
none. I
never
mean,
been in trouble or nothing. They didn't give her no lenience.
I guess that 6 months off that sentence is what it looked like in Russia, bro.
So the 6 months off, we give you 6 months because you a good person. You a good motherfucker.
Yeah,
We could give
you
you
got the
10
6
years.
months off from not getting in trouble before or something, bro.
Maybe they don't have no standard range. They just say, okay, that's 10 years. It's zero tolerance. Might be some crazy shit like that. However, you know, and you thoughts, you know, running around with these cartridges and stuff, thinking it's cool, you know, hopping in and out of planes and, you know, all of this shit. Then want to get loud as fuck when a motherfucker run up on, like, look at her. You feel me? Look at the scream.
She got that. Hey, man, bro, she woke as a motherfucker. Bro, look at her eyes, bro. You right. She can see the future right now with them eyes, nigga. She knew it was bad. I think that's probably what happened, bro. Her future was in her face, nigga. It's
Whatever
devastating.
time she gets, I hope she don't, you know, get mistreated. You know, I don't want anybody to get mistreated.
Not at all. Hell no. Fuck no, we
doing
don't want that, bro.
Because, you know, you ain't really got no control over that type of stuff. I think that's the part of being locked up that people don't really talk about. You know, you ain't really got no control. If you just so happen to land yourself in a fucked up situation, you get locked up. And then now you're in a situation to where you're getting mistreated by the inmates or by the guards. I don't know what's worse. You know, you get mistreated by the people that's supposed to protect you. You know, I don't know. But hey man, if they got zero tolerance, then they probably gonna treat her good in there. You know, and nobody got no.
Is she going? Well, I mean, as far as the sentence go, is she gonna be a Gen Pop? She gonna be in PC? Did they do that over there?
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
it's a lot of layers.
Bro,
There wasn't
so,
no range. I'm kind of surprised
like,
it wasn't like a range. Like, is it 0 to 10 years? You know, or is it just 10 years and she pled guilty to that? Like, so she was. Right. Somebody told her that this prison swap was gonna go down. Like, okay, just hurry up and plead. Don't even keep your head up. You know, don't get into too much trouble. Don't be talking on the phone too much. You know, you're probably gonna have to sit another 6 months. You know, I mean, this is the best we can do. You're gonna sit in there for another 6 months, and then you're coming home.
Receiving cell that she sleeps in at night. What we do know is that she typically wears her own clothing, that when she enters the court, she often has photographs with her. She will have photographs of her family, of her loved ones, of her wife. And today she walked in with a photograph of her Russian team, a team she's been playing with for 7 years, a team which she says she loves and her teammates that she cares about, and a team that she apologized for because of this entire situation. And yet this image that she tried to project as somebody who cared about Russia, cared about her time in Russia, the years she spent in Russia, and perhaps more specifically, that the seriousness in which she took Russian laws, saying that she knew she broke the law and that she understood she did, and that is why she admitted her guilt in this case. Well, it would seem that wasn't enough for this judge. As we've been saying, Brittney Griner now sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison.
9 years. And one of the things that the defense for Griner said was that she had won the sympathy of her guards, her fellow prison inmates who supported her, according to the AP, by shouting, "Brittney, everything will be okay." But we know now that she has been sentenced to 9 years and a fine of roughly $16,000 US. Imtiaz, do you know anything more about an appeals process or what the next steps might be through the Russian judicial system?
It's very early days, and it's hard to say. I'd imagine that there would be some sort of appeals process, but I think more than anything, what Brittney Griner's family, what the NBA and her supporters will no doubt be putting even more pressure on the Biden administration, on the White House, on the State Department to do something to get her home. As we've been saying, prisoner swaps, while uncommon, are not unheard of. We understand that in the past, Americans caught up in Russia, given sentences which may seem disproportionate to the crime, have been swapped in the past, and that the hope is that this will happen for Brittney Griner. The difference now is that the tensions between Moscow and Washington, which of course, as we know, has historically been tense for decades and decades, but in this specific moment, in which we've now had over 5 months since Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine, in which we know the first time that the Secretary of State spoke to his counterpart was specifically about Brittney Griner, a conversation between these two diplomats, which frankly did not happen since the start of that invasion, which really gives you a sense of just how frosty ties have become. But none of that has resulted in some sort of an agreement which will see Brittney Griner sent home. As we've been saying, the U.S. has offered to swap Brittney Griner and a man by the name of Paul Whelan, another American who's being held in a Russian prison, that the two of them be swapped with a man known as Victor Bout. Victor Bout is a notorious arms dealer. He's considered a very dangerous person, but it really just underscores just how much the State Department and indeed the White House wants to resolve this. That they're offering a Russian who, again, is accused of pretty heinous crimes to free not only Brittney, but of course Mr. Whelan as well. But so far, nothing has happened, and that.
They dug. Yeah. You know, I mean, I would like to see who this other guy is that they got that's locked up, and you know, just to tie everything in. You know, why has it got to be the 2 for 1? Why can't you just let Brittney out a 1 for 1 swap? Or you know, I gotta look up this Victor dude though. I can't let that slide.
Has been said already, the ball really remains in Russia's court, and quite frankly, remains in Vladimir Putin's court. One would imagine that any decision made on Brittney Griner's future will come down to Vladimir Putin, whether he wants to do this prisoner swap or not. Given just how tense the relationship is between the U.S. and Russia is right now, I think there's a lot of people who are looking at this situation and are very worried about her, very worried that she could see herself behind bars for a very long time. Again, as we've been saying, she's already been in prison for 168 days. She's now been sentenced to a further 9 years in prison. And the question now is whether she will spend that much time behind bars.
We're seeing images of what looks like some sort of press conference as we wait to see who does speak. Just want to remind viewers that when Brittney Griner's wife spoke with CBS Morning, she told Gayle King, of course, she was terrified Brittney would be in prison for life. She does face 9 years. We understand that Cherelle Griner will not be making a statement imminently.
Yeah, she don't need to be making those statements. If you know, If in my opinion, she don't need to be saying shit.
Shut your ass the hell up. Exactly.
You know, shut your motherfucking ass
Shut
up.
your ass the fuck up. Facts. Yep. Absolutely,
You know,
bro.
you don't need to be saying shit.
You don't
Shut
need to
your
say
ass up.
nothing.
So we do a goddamn video about your ass.
Yeah, real shit.
Just
Look
shut
at
up, man. This shit has gotten too serious now.
Yep.
It's 10 times more serious than I originally thought. You know, like this situation is serious right here. Okay. There's no way we can get around it, man. What you smoking on over there? Because Brittney Griner can't smoke nothing right now.
Oh yeah, well, I'm at work, so
Oh yeah, you can't smoke nothing either.
When I get in this whip, I'm gonna have some runs or something. But yeah, you know, we in the kitchen making chicken and waffles. But like you said, Brittney, she ain't got she's bad. She gonna be smoking on that. She gonna be smoking on that, you know, that political prisoner pack, I imagine. I don't know if that's what she's supposed to be. But I'm gonna keep it 100, bro. That thing you played when you said, or not you said, when they said that the U.S. government was the ones who came up with that offer. See, bro, that kind of bothered me because I'm just like, now the whole time y'all let the media, people all through social media, say that that's what they demanded. Come to find out, that's what our government wanted to do.
Mm.
And for
they wasn't really taking it seriously. That's what is allegedly said, that they're not taking the offer very seriously. But instead coming back with counter offers and stuff, you know.
Well, what it is, I feel that Russia is smart enough. They done had way more politics than America. Russia's a way older country. So United States could never convince me they understand politics and leverage the way Russia does. Right before America was established, Russia had been in countless wars already as a country. So they know how to do this and they know what don't make sense. Wait, what you want to do? So let me get this straight. You offering up this arms dealer who's super duper tapped in with all type of shit. You offering
He's kind of chipped up
here on any statements from Griner's defense teams. MTS, again, you know, a question I'm not sure you can totally answer, but we touched on a little bit. Brittney Griner, as we've said, has been in prison already for 24 weeks. What do we know about her, what her state of mind has been? Of course, this is a whole new ballgame now that she's been sentenced to 9 years, but what can you tell us?
Yeah, it was really interesting watching her in the court. Obviously, this entire proceeding has been very complicated for her. She's in a Russian court. Most of, obviously, what's spoken there is Russian. She does have a translator, and so she is told what's being said in court. But if we look back to the very beginning of this ordeal and the first time that we heard from Brittney Griner, which was around a week ago when she addressed the court and kind of explained what happened, she said, you know, I just gotten off this really long flight. I just recovered from COVID. And then I was taken into custody and I was asked all these questions and I didn't really understand what was going on. And I was made to sign things that I didn't understand. And I think that really sort of underscores.
Yeah, you got to get counsel. You got to get that counsel. You just can't go into this. You can't do it. You can't do it like this, you know. So they put you in a pickle. They got you signing all this stuff you don't know nothing about. And that just goes to show, you know, my mom used to say, man, leave that bullshit at home, you know. And I never really got what she was saying. I thought she was saying, like, okay, when I go, you know, leave the bullshit. But home is your city, your state, you know. Leave that bullshit at home. You take that shit out of your state and whatever it is, you know, and you could find yourself in a rough situation. And I don't know why she didn't know. I don't know if she thought she was above the law, or maybe she does this all the time. Maybe they're not buying the fact that she said that it was an accident and she didn't know. Like, they're thinking like, no, you knew. There's proof that you knew. You knew. But I don't know all the particulars. We ain't got the discovery, nothing like that. I still think it's the girlfriend's. I think it's hers. Brittney Griner didn't have any marijuana in her system. And she is an athlete and all, I get that. And she runs more than, I get it. But I still think she would have had some in her system, especially if she got a cartridge that's like 80% THC or 75 or 90% THC. Right?
Scores a lot of her experience up until now, which is that she really didn't get a sense of what was going on, didn't get a sense of what her rights were, didn't really get a sense of what she was being accused of. And now here she is, a convicted criminal in Russia and somebody who has been sentenced to 9 years in prison on narcotics charges. And again, we saw from Brittney Griner in the court today, before this conviction was announced, and of course the sentencing was announced, an emotional person. I mean, she really, her voice quivered when she was describing her fears and more importantly, talking about the situation that she faced. Again, saying that she hopes that her life doesn't end. And I can't imagine what it must be like to be sitting in a courtroom so far away from her home to learn that she's been sentenced to 9 years in prison. And as you rightly point out, her wife gave an interview to Gayle King on CBS Mornings. And it's clear there's a lot of love between these two spouses. Brittney Griner has mentioned her every single time that she's spoken to the court. And this is no doubt very difficult for her. And again, when we heard from her today, the one thing Brittney Griner was doing over and over again was apologizing to her wife, apologizing to her family, apologizing to her team in Arizona, and apologizing to her team in Russia as well.
I just want to know one thing, what happens after this prison swap? Because Josh Gordon and all these other dudes, and just because it's legal here, do we just sweep it under the rug, or do we treat the law like the law? And Brittney Griner, she did something that's not tolerated over there. Maybe she thought that she didn't know where she was at. You're never supposed to forget where you at. Let me get back in here. Get up in here.
Well, it's very clear that she feels terrible about this situation, and of course is no doubt very scared about what's to come given this sentencing. And she also finds herself in the middle of a massive geopolitical situation between two very powerful countries who are at odds with each other. And this is a pretty extraordinary situation.
And on that note, Imtiaz, we are just hearing from President Biden, who's weighing in. He has a statement saying today American citizen Brittney Griner received a prison sentence. That is one more reminder of what the world already knew. Russia is wrongfully detaining Brittney. It is unacceptable, and I call on Russia to release her immediately so she can be with her wife, loved ones, friends, and teammates. My administration will continue to work tirelessly and pursue every possible avenue.
I don't think they care about her wife. It's outlawed over there. Homosexuality. They're not with that. So what are they talking about? What are they talking about right now? She's wrongfully being detained. Is she totally innocent? I can't go that far. I can't go that far. 1 million rubles. That's what we know.
To bring Brittney and Paul Whelan home safely as soon as possible. To speak more on this, I want to bring in now Jonathan Franks. He is a spokesperson for Trevor Reed, who was freed in a prisoner swap with Russia back in April. Thanks for being here, Jonathan. We know that Trevor had also received a 9-year sentence in a Russian prison, just like the sentence that Brittney Griner has just received. Can you tell us anything more about, now as the attention is shifting to the possibility of a prisoner swap, what that would mean? And we understand that for your client, it meant for him 3 years in a Russian prison. Might Brittney Griner be looking at a substantial amount of time before this can be ironed out?
And thanks for having me. The simple answer is yes. She could be looking at a substantial period of time. I hope that's not the case. I watched her set the feed of her sentencing today.
I'm so sorry, Jonathan. As this is breaking news, we are just now hearing from a spokesperson outside of
Moscow. I attended every session of Ms. Griner's trial. We will continue to be closely engaged in this case. We will remain in frequent contact with Ms. Griner and with her legal team. Secretary of State Blinken, President Biden's national security team, and the entire American government remain committed to bringing Ms. Griner home safely to her family, friends, and loved ones. And I, as charge d'affaires of the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, will also do my best to bring her home safely. I will continue to do everything to care for the safety and well-being of Ms. Griner and of all U.S. citizens detained in the Russian Federation. We have no higher priority. Thank you.
Is it still possible to change her?
I have no further. Thank you.
We were just hearing from the charge d'affaires for U.S. citizens saying there's no higher priority than bringing home U.S. citizens who are wrongfully detained, which is the position of the U.S. government. Jonathan, sorry to have interrupted you, but obviously with breaking news, we pivot to where the story is. Please continue when we're talking about prisoner swaps. What's next for Brittney Griner?
What's next is she could be very well transferred to prison camp. And I've been watching the so-called proceeding today with Google Translate's help. I found that proceeding absurd. There's no other way to, there was numerous pieces of irrelevant, prejudicial evidence that I'm not sure was introduced in court. A bizarre theater of the absurd today, because this has been in the can since she was charged and orchestrated from above. So I think we didn't really see a court appearance today. We saw a shellacking, and it's just absolutely horrendous. It was horrendous when it was done to Trevor Reed. It was horrendous when it was done to Paul Whelan. It was horrendous when it was done to Mark Vogel. 9 years for allegedly having the cannabis equivalent of a cigarette butt is absurd.
Jonathan, as you've watched other Americans on trial in Russia and you compare some of what you just described, what Brittney Griner's trial has looked like and what has unfolded during this time, reminding our audience that this all began a week before Russia invaded Ukraine. Have you seen any differences in Griner's, court case in the trial?
Yes, and yes, I think that the trial was higher profile. It was shorter because she pled guilty. Trevor did not plead guilty, but it does seem to me to be this, relatively similar. And I kind of, it's theater of the absurd. Nothing ever seems to matter. I mean, her lawyers put forth an excellent, case on mitigation, both her contribution to both Russian and American society, and the fact that the search didn't comply with Russian law. And that didn't seem to make a difference. I mean, 9 years seems to be the magic number for their hostage taking these days.
Jonathan, that's a very interesting point that there are several points in which the defense has argued that she was not afforded the rights that are provided to all to all people who are accused of crimes under Russian laws. Thank you for joining us. We're going to continue the conversation with Imtiaz and Jessica. Jessica, it's important to acknowledge that in addition to obviously being a high-profile American in the context of strife between Russia and the U.S., she's also a Black woman who is a member of the LGBTQ community, and Russia has, and President Putin in particular, have been criticized for their treatment of LGBTQ people. And
that's called the elephant in the room. I'm telling y'all, man, that ain't America over there. That's a whole nother country.
And crackdowns that have denied human rights to those. Tell us more about that context and how that may be concerning people who are supporting Brittney Griner.
Well, I think that's why people were listening, or part of the reason why people were listening so carefully, for instance, to what her conditions are in terms of how she's being held and how she may be held. And I think you're exactly right to point this out. We're talking about a woman of color who's a member of the LGBT community. And we know that Russia is not a place, at least under Vladimir Putin, where they have pushed for equality. I mean, that may be the understatement of the morning, but they have not treated the LGBT community as being deserving of equal rights. They have treated them with discrimination. And so I think, again, that's why when we hear reporting of the prison guards, for instance, saying, Brittney, we're with you, a lot of...
So why the fuck does she want to say, I miss my wife and all of it? Why does she want to promote? Why would she do that? You know, I ain't going to say no more. They be done. Took my whole channel down, bro. I don't understand. You got to know where you're at. You got to know where you're at. They probably had it out for her the whole time. Because of that. These WNBA players, they say like 90% of the WNBA is homosexual. So what does that mean? That means that you have a target on your back already. Thank y'all for hitting the like button, though. Really appreciate it. So, you know, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just think, oh, yeah, just let her go, blah, blah, blah? Hey, Black people get treated bad here, too. This is all the way across the board. Then we want to fight each other. This is how the world treats us. You know, they don't give a fuck about us. Look at this woman, never did a crime in her damn life. Had a goddamn cartridge. I got a cartridge right here. Everybody hit their cartridge for Brittney. I ain't hit this motherfucker in a while. It was kind of hard. But, I mean, damn, did we all hit the cartridge for Brittney? Did she get to keep the cartridge when she gets out? Like, what? There's some unfinished business to take care of as far as covering this, because it's not making sense to me.
People have more concern maybe than they would for another American, Caucasian male, for instance, about what is actually happening to her while she's being held, and what may happen to her next. Now, obviously, we don't know how any of those dynamics in terms of her identity and who she is played into the trial and the sentencing, because we know, again, it's worth emphasizing, Russian courts are not like American courts. The protections that we enjoy when it comes to criminal defendants are a far cry from what we see in many foreign countries, but in particular now we're seeing in a Russian courtroom. And so I think we're exactly right to ask the question of what will happen to her, and will she be treated, frankly, in a way that is even more concerning because she's a woman of color, because she's a member of the LGBT community. I think President Biden's statement here is really unequivocal, and he's saying this is a top priority to bring her home in a way that gives him, I think, it decreases some of his bargaining power, right? To say, we need this, we want this, we're putting this as a top priority. Mm-hmm. But he has to say that because we're all talking about this, we're all watching, and we're all, frankly, or I'll speak for myself, worried that she is going to be inside a Russian prison for 9 years and worried about what that will mean for her.
Imtiaz, I want to turn back to you again. I know we're just hearing this news, but have we heard any reaction from other foreign leaders? You know, what might we anticipate reaction from just Europeans across the board?
Well, I think the nations that obviously are naturally aligned with the U.S. are certainly going to be appalled at this conviction and are certainly going to be advising their citizens not to travel to Russia and to be very mindful when they do travel to Russia. This conviction of, frankly, of somebody who is now high profile and is certainly going to cause a lot of alarm for a lot of people. It basically says that you can be a two-time Olympic gold medalist, you can be a WNBA star, you can be somebody who has spent 7 years of their life in Russia, who has committed to spending a lot of time living in Russia, playing with Russian teammates, having friends in Russia, having a life in Russia. And even then, you could be essentially face some of the stiffest penalties that a court can give, ignoring the broader context of what we've been saying about Brittney Griner, whether or not her arrest itself followed the letter of the law in Russia, and more importantly, if this verdict is fitting to the crime that she committed, which is having a very small amount of cannabis oil, which was prescribed to her by a doctor. But again, it really just widens the lens here because we are looking at this from a geopolitical point of view. This is obviously a very terrible situation for Brittney Griner. It's a terrible situation for her family, her loved ones, and indeed Brittney Griner's teammates in Russia and indeed in the U.S. But this has, as we've been saying, huge geopolitical ramifications. Again, just moments after her sentencing, we hear from the U.S. president with this pretty sharp statement, and it really just underscores the situation, and perhaps more importantly, the tense relationship between Moscow and Washington right now, and how hard it may be for them to come up with some kind of an agreement which will see her released, if it's going to be this prisoner swap. And again, the calculus now lies on the Russian side as to whether or not they think it's in their best interest to antagonize the U.S., because hanging on to her is certainly going to antagonize the U.S., and that is something that they want to do in the short term. But you know, as we've been hearing, when it comes to Brittney Griner herself, as part of the sentencing of 9 years, we also understand she's going to be sent to a penal colony. Now, what that means in real terms, well, it's hard to say, but I suppose if we use our imagination, it's probably not going to be great. And she's going to find herself in a very difficult situation for an unknown period of time. The hope is that negotiations between Russia and the U.S. will move quickly and that she'll be sent home just as quickly. But given how tense things are, and given what we understand about the initial interaction between Sergei Lavrov, who is the Russian foreign minister, and the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, that it's...
They don't want to say it, but she's gonna be fighting for her life. She's gonna be in a situation to where she might have to fight for her. Well, that any prison situation, you're gonna have to fight for your life, but she could be going into a really hostile place. And that's what they don't want to say. Like, there's probably a lot of, I mean, if they locking you up for 10 years for minor shit like this, with smuggling, you know, to different countries and stuff, you know, that's not minor. It's not. I don't know how she thought that it was legal. I don't know who advises her, or if she tried to keep it on the low, or if it was even hers. To be fair, right? Man, this is a cold situation, man.
It's not looking great, quite frankly. And so we understand that the U.S. will continue to pursue this deal, continue to pursue a way to get Brittney Griner and indeed Paul Whelan out of Russia. But as of today, it seems we're no further ahead in this situation. And Brittney Griner is now trying to absorb the enormity of what's just happened. She's been sentenced to 9 years in a Russian penal colony, and after spending already 24 weeks behind bars.
Imtiaz, does this give pause to other U.S. citizens who may be living in Russia or thinking about traveling to Russia? We know that the State Department has weighed in on this particular case, but do we know, is there greater guidance given how they feel Brittney Griner has been unfairly treated?
Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, in my job as a journalist, we travel to complicated places, and oftentimes there are travel advisories from the State Department saying you shouldn't go to this country or you should leave this country. U.S. citizens are advised to leave. Russia is no different. And the reality is, though, is when you speak to Americans who are living in countries that are going through challenging times or have challenging relationships with the country that they're from, in this case, the U.S., that oftentimes people make decisions which, you know, go against the advice that the State Department or the government has. And that's because in the case of Brittney Griner, she had a team that she'd played for 7 years. She spent a lot of time in Russia. It was a team that she was very close to, and as evidence in her statements in the court, was very proud to play for. And perhaps even if you want to widen the lens a bit more, it really underscores the challenges that professional basketball players who play for the WNBA have, in which they need to supplement their incomes. And many of them play abroad. And for Brittney Griner, she chose to play abroad in Russia. And now look at the situation she finds herself in. And so when you consider Americans abroad, Americans in Russia, and indeed in other countries, at the end of the day, the U.S. Can't force them to come home, but this really is a cautionary tale that you're flying to Russia, a place that you know well, a place that you've played professionally for years in the case of Brittney Griner, and you pack a bag really quickly and you're just recovering from COVID and it's a really long flight, and you throw a bunch of stuff into what we now know to be a very large suitcase or backpack, and at the very bottom of it is 1 or 2 grams of a medically prescribed cannabis oil, and because that was in her bag, she's now sentenced to 9 years in a Russian penal colony and is at the center of this geopolitical storm. And so, yeah, I think for those Americans who are currently in Russia, still in Russia, in spite of everything, this will certainly be a huge concern to them, and perhaps maybe that very reason why they do choose to leave.
You're seeing now what looks like a Russian official speaking Russian. While we wait to hear what he is saying from our translators, Jessica, I just want to turn to you. I mean, what would you say to Brittney Griner's family, friends, fans, sort of who may be confused about what might be next, the legal process in Russia. Do you have anything you would say to them?
So we know the reporting is that her lawyers do plan to appeal. I will reiterate what I said before, which is that the Russian court system is not like the American court system. And so every step of the way, we have really seen the differences, and frankly, the differences in lack of protection for criminal defendants. And so, yes, there will be an appeal. I, again, suspect that the appeal that's going to matter is the political appeal. It's not the appeal that's going to happen inside the courtroom. And so, speaking to her family, speaking to her supporters, I wish I had something more specific or perhaps even optimistic to say, other than I don't have a lot of hope for an appeal, in part because of how we saw this trial run in the first place. And I think that the pressure that we're going to see politically really is her hope. I don't think that her hope for freedom, for not being in that penal colony for 9 years, is going to come through the legal system. It's going to come through political negotiations. And it's something that we've talked about throughout the morning, because I think this was all but preordained. They made the calculation that she would, in fact, plead guilty. There was a defense that I think was as vigorous as it could be, essentially saying, again, that she should not be found guilty, but if she is, please be lenient in a sentence. We found that neither one of those defenses was successful. Again, I think expectedly. And now we really are going to have to wait to see how this plays out with the State Department, with the Biden administration, and with the Russian government, with Vladimir Putin. He knows that we're watching, that we're talking, and that this is important to us. And I do think that puts us in a difficult situation.
If you're just joining us, we have breaking news on the development of Brittney Griner's legal case in Russia. She has been convicted of drug possession. She has been sentenced to 9 years in prison. Our colleague Imtiaz Tayeb tells us that that is expected to be served in a penal colony. She also has been fined roughly the equivalent of $16,000 US, 1 million rubles. We are following her case as well as some other developing news that the Justice Department has charged 4 Louisville police officers with federal charges in that drug raid that led to Breonna Taylor's death. We are going to be following that story. The LMD officers, as you'll recall, shot Taylor to death after knocking down her door while executing a search warrant. She was not a subject of that warrant. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced the charges this morning. We are expecting at any moment that we will have a press conference that will have more information on that. We are lucky to be joined by Jessica Levinson, who's a legal contributor for us, and we have talked with Jessica in the past about Breonna Taylor's case. What is your first take on these federal charges coming, Jessica, for these 4 former Louisville police officers?
So we see that these are very serious charges, and this is breaking news, so forgive me for looking down for a moment. We see civil rights offenses, unlawful conspiracy, unconstitutional use of force, and obstruction offenses. Essentially, what they're being charged with is what they did before the tragedy occurred, and then what they did after to try and cover up the tragedy. So there are 4 different officers charged here. There are slightly different charges with respect.
Hey, man, it ain't looking good. It ain't looking good. It ain't looking good, y'all. Terrible situation, that's unfolding. Brittney Griner, WNBA star. People say she's the face of the WNBA. I mean, she came in there and made a huge impact, but I think people aren't putting enough respect on the way Russia's just not fucking around, bro. They don't really give a fuck about that. A lot of people, they talk about what if LeBron, and if this was LeBron James, it would have been a big deal. I think the media blew it up way too much. They blew it up too much. I always wondered about, the way America worked in the media. you know, and the effects, because it's like even when it comes to fighting terrorism or whatever it is, they give away all their goods on the news. Like everybody's watching that. You know, so either you doing one, telling us one thing, or you doing exactly on us. It's just not. It's not strategic. You know, I should just say that. But anyway, we got some more footage because that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We're gonna go in. So you guys could go get some lunch, go roll up, do what you're gonna do. I'm gonna keep you guys tuned in.
Let go. They need to come home. We're going to keep working on that. I cannot ascribe Russian motives or intent here. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to try to speculate what's in their heads. All I can do is tell you where President Biden is and the national security team. Wrongfully detained, need to come home. There's a deal on the table. Let's make the deal. Let's get them home.
I'll come back there and Peter and then I'll come back.
Thanks, John. Why is it that over the last couple of months, President Biden's been so much tougher?
Just to let y'all know, we got this
than he is on China.
Straight coverage, right?
I wouldn't agree with the premise of the question, Peter.
Well, I think just when Russia
This
was
is live
getting
right now.
aggressive
Everything
around Ukraine,
fair
the
use.
president was out every couple days telling Putin, "Don't do it." And now China is getting aggressive around Taiwan, and we're not hearing anything like that from the president.
Oh, I beg to differ. We've been standing up here for almost a week, Peter, talking about our concerns about what China was preparing to do. We put out declassified information that we saw what the Chinese playbook was going to be. Look, I stood at another podium a lot long ago, and much of the same way we reacted then, we're reacting now in terms of being honest and transparent about what's going on and calling it out for what it is. And then today, talking about exactly what we're going to do to make sure we can help preserve a free and open Indo-Pacific. So I'm afraid I just challenged the premise of your question.
I know you said that there is not a call scheduled with Xi. Is there a reason why? Because President Biden's known him for decades.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of free time up there in the residence this week.
He doesn't have free time. He
can't just pick up the phone and call.
Been working all the way through his illness, quite frankly, Peter. So that's a little bit insulting. And as for a call, it is. It is.
That someone who is isolating by themselves.
You suggested he has a lot of free time, as if he's not doing anything, and you know that's not the case, Mr. Ducey. Now, look, as for a call with President Xi, I don't have anything on the president's schedule to speak to. If ever the president felt like a call with President Xi was the appropriate way to respond, or that it would have an effect and an outcome that he wants to achieve, he certainly would be willing to do that. He's talked to Xi now 5 times. It's not like he's afraid to pick up the phone and call President Xi. And if there's if a call is the right answer, I'm sure that President Biden will do that. But I'm not going to get ahead of the president on this. I do want to stress, I said it before, but I do think your question begs me to say it again, that the lines of communication are still open with Beijing, and we're using those lines of communication. And I think you'll see that in days to come as well. That's really important. And that's one of the reasons why President Biden made that call a week or so ago, was to make sure, and you saw it in Kareem's readout, to make sure that those lines of communication stay open, and they are.
Make sure you smash that like button now. Smash that like button.
John, you said a few moments ago that the president's been personally involved in Brittney Griner's case. Can you talk about what that has involved beyond getting daily updates on her situation, and whether or not the president would be willing to speak directly with President Putin to negotiate her release and the release of Paul?
When I'm personally involved, I mean, he's in constant touch with all the members of his team that are working on Brittney's case, and it's not just Secretary of State Blinken, Jake Sullivan, the special presidential envoy for hostage affairs, the Deputy Homeland Security Advisor, Josh Geltzer. I mean, there's a lot of people involved in here, and he's driving a process of continual updates that he can get from his team. He's offering guidance to them as needed. You've seen that he has talked to Mrs. Griner herself, and certainly would expect that he's going to continue to have those kinds of conversations going forward. He's staying focused on this.
And as for speaking with President Putin directly?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have, similar to the president, I don't have any calls to announce or speak to with President Putin. The president is comfortable that the proposal that we put forward is a serious one, and urges the Russians to accept that proposal so we can get Brittney and Paul home.
And then you talked about the decision to make public that you had made an offer to the Russians, and you suggested that part of that was perhaps to put some pressure on the Russians because they hadn't been really all that responsive. Do you feel like making that offer public has changed anything? Has changed the status quo? Have you achieved the desired outcome of that decision?
Well, she's not home. Neither is Paul. So can we say that making it public had a direct line to bringing them home? Not yet, but we hope it will. We hope it will. We felt it was important to make sure the American people knew, but as well as people.
These are the type of negotiators and stuff that will negotiate for you. If you get yourself in that situation, you know what I'm saying? This guy obviously, you know, they just won't accept the fact that going public with the situation, you know, it didn't help. It didn't help at all. So is it on the table? Yeah, negotiations on the table. They act like they're going to do something. Hopefully they bring her home. You know, I think she learned her lesson, you know. But the sympathetic part about it, I mean, you know, come on. You know, you over there and you still giving out shout outs to your wife and, you know, all of this. Like, come on, man. Did somebody tell you what the temperature is over there? It's just not smart. It's not smart. It's not helping your case at all.
Around the world, how seriously we're taking these two cases, and that so seriously, in fact, that we had made a proposal that we believe the Russians ought to accept. And you'll notice that the day after we did that, the Russians started talking, even publicly. So I'll leave it at that.
And then on a separate issue, CNN reported today that the Department of Homeland Security is going to stop wiping mobile devices of high-level officials, political appointees, without backing them up first, and is launching a 30-day review of policies. Is the White House directing any other agencies to take similar steps, including the Department of Defense, for example?
I'm not aware of any other instructions to other agencies.
And then just lastly on Russia more broadly, can you speak at all to this newly declassified intelligence that Russia is preparing to plant fabricated evidence as it relates to this attack on the
yeah, I can actually.
prison? Yeah.
So I can share, based on downgraded intelligence, that we expect that Russian officials are planning to falsify evidence in order to attribute the attack on the Olenivka prison on the 29th of July. They're going to try to attribute that attack to the Ukrainian armed forces. We anticipate that Russian officials will try to frame the Ukrainian armed forces in anticipation of journalists and potential investigators visiting the site of the attack. In fact, we've already seen some spurious.
So if they're doing that much crooked shit, what makes Brittney Griner feel like she can just go over here with her shenanigans? Somebody tell me, because I don't know. It's beyond me. She's sentenced to 9 years, just in case y'all just tuning in. And yeah, it ain't good.
Press reports to this effect, where they have planted evidence. We have reason to believe that that Russia would go so far as to make it appear that Ukrainian HIMARS, the high mobility advanced rocket systems that have been so much in the news lately, were to blame, and to do that before journalists arrived on site. And again, we're beginning to even start to see some press reporting to that effect.
Okay, way in the back, in the blue, way in the back.
That's me.
John, yes. When you say that the U.S. is prepared, when you say that the U.S. is prepared for what China will do you mean that you are prepared to engage militarily?
I'm saying we are prepared for what China may do, and I think it probably wouldn't be a good idea to go into a great level of detail on that. Let me say that when I say we're prepared for what China may do, it's across all the tools of government power. It's not just about the military. We have a robust military capability in the region. We have strong alliances and partnerships in the region. We also have economic throw weight, right? And we have diplomatic throw weight. There's a lot of things that the United States can bring to bear if we feel like we need to. But here's the thing, we shouldn't need to do it. And it shouldn't come to blows. There's no reason for this manufactured crisis to exist. The Chinese have used Speaker Pelosi's trip as a pretext. Yes, they're claiming it's a protest. I got it. But it's also a pretext to try to up the ante in tensions and to actually try to set a new status quo, to get to a new normal where they think they can keep that. And my point in coming out here today was to make it clear that we're not going to accept a new status quo, and that it's not just the United States, but the world will reject it as well.
After the last talk between President Biden and Xi, there were indications that a meeting between the two presidents may take place. There was a room for that. Given the current situation, do you think there's a room for a meeting between the two presidents?
Nobody's ruling out the possibility for a meeting between the two presidents.
Phil, then Ed.
There's reporting that the Biden administration is lobbying against legislation that would designate Taiwan as a major non-NATO ally. Can you tell us if that's accurate? And as we move towards what President Biden has often described as an era of autocracy versus democracy, should we be strengthening ties with Taiwan by entering into such a designation?
I think we're, with respect to this proposed legislation, I think we're going to avoid too much comment right now. We certainly appreciate and respect the role of Congress and
Yeah, we back. We're gonna go ahead and end the stream right now so I can get to my research, get to my people. We're gonna have another one. Appreciate everybody that came through. This is Dr. Hood. Peace.